Caroline Taylor here at ICFF 2021, and I am with Todd Shoemaker, otherwise known as OC. And Todd is a guest here at ICFF. He also has a film in production. And after hearing some of his testimony, I wanted to go online with you guys and have you all get an idea of what kind of the community is here, the testimonies that are coming into ICFF that are being talked about and shared here, what the Lord is doing in the world outside of Orlando and just across the nation and across the world. So, OC, can you give us a bit of your testimony, please?
Yeah, my journey started in 2002 on a missions trip to New York City, less than a year after 9/11. And during that trip, God asked me to fast all week. And I'd never done that in my life. And so I fasted all week. We saw some amazing things happen. But when I got home, I told my wife, I said, I'm not quite sure why I fasted. And she goes, well, God will reveal that in His timing. Well, a few months later, I was diagnosed with several forms of crippling arthritis, put on a bunch of meds. A year later, I actually, instead of having arthritis, I actually had cancer. And God, in an amazing way, just took that tumor out, no chemo, no radiation. But during my surgery, God gave me a vision that I would start running marathons. And the most I'd probably ever run in my life is 3 miles in one sitting. So 4 months after having my tumor removed, I started running. Things were going great. Fast forward a few years, just one illness after another. Parkinson's, myasthenia gravis. And in 2009, my wife took me to the emergency room, and the doctor said, you probably have less than 24 hours to live. And what's crazy about that, people always say, well, what is a prayer? I need to know the prayer that you prayed. And I said, I didn't pray. I said, all God told me was to never look sick or act sick. And I told my wife that, and she kind of said, well, he's on morphine right now, so we're not going to pay much attention. But based on just that, from 2009 till 2019, I spent 150 to 200 days a year in the hospital. And
that's a year?
Every year. That was my average. And during those times of treatments, hospital stays, doctor's appointments, I had the opportunity to share the gospel with over 1,000 people based on people going, well, Todd, why are you here? You don't look sick, you don't act sick. So fast forward to 2019, November 3rd, I probably had 2 weeks to live. Doctor said anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks. I weighed 112 pounds. I couldn't speak. I was living off of a feeding tube. And that night, God just touched my body in an amazing way. I ate solid food for the first time in almost 4 years. I actually started running marathons again. I'd been a long distance runner in my past and had not run in 10 and a half years. And last year, God let me run over 1,000 miles in 10 months. And so now we've got our documentary that we're editing right now, and it just shares hope with people and to never give up on the miracle that God has for them. That's always my prayer for people, is that live out your miracle every day until it manifests itself. Because we want the instant. And sometimes God says, guess what? You're gonna have a lot of lessons learned, and you're gonna touch a lot of people with a longer journey.
Right.
My journey happened to be almost 18 years.
Wow. And you had to wait on Him for a long time. And it was
Yeah.
obviously very difficult.
Very difficult, but I look back and one of the questions people always ask me is, if you could go back and get a do-over, would you do a do-over? And I said, no way. I said, because I learned so much, God used me so much during that time, brought people into my life that I would have never met before.
So you would do a do-over?
I would not do a do-over of not being sick.
Yes.
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 I would choose a path that God chose for me.
Yes.
I mean, He didn't make me sick, but He allowed me to walk that path for all those years.
Yes. And the way the Lord brings our brokenness and creates something new, to be able to say, I can see, and I would be willing to do that
Right.
all over again,
Yeah.
to make you who you are today,
Right.
to make you the new person.
Yes.
Now, where can people find out more information about your documentary? What's it called, by the way?
It's called Dead Man Running, and the reason that we have that title is I was out running one morning, and God just said, call the documentary Dead Man Running. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange. And he said, no, he said, you're a runner, so runners are going to watch your documentary. Young people are going to watch your documentary because they're going to think it's about zombies. So you're going to get a whole different crowd. So they can go to projectdeadmanrunning.com.
Okay.
They can see the trailer. They can see the trailer there, and they can always reach out to me at Todd O.C. Shoemaker on every media outlet.
Every media outlet.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, we're going to share this to ICFF Facebook page, and it's going to go from there. So
Okay.
thank you very much for
Thank you
sharing
so
testimony.
much.
Okay.